Well, welcome back to the My First Rodeo podcast, the show that asks really cool, fun, interesting, and famous people about the various firsts on their path to success. Today's no exception. We have with us today Aaron Bean, Representative Aaron Bean, Congressman Aaron Bean from Florida, who is a fascinating person who has run for public office and won public office all the way back to his days in student government when he ran for student body president at Jacksonville University and won. Then ran for the city council in Fernandina Beach and won. Then became the youngest mayor in the history of Fernandina Beach, moved on to be a state representative in Florida, and then a senator, working in other capacities along the way. He's actually a professional auctioneer. He's one of the most witty politicians you ever want to meet. He's fun. He's silly. If he's not blonde, but if you accept this example, he can come off to many as a sort of dizzy blonde version of a politician, and he is anything but. He is just likes to be silly. He likes to be fun. He likes to do things that are memorable and that maybe brand him in a particular way that one might remember. But he's as smart as anyone I know. He has a certain political persuasion. He is certainly of the Republican flavor and a certain type of Republican. In some ways, he and I don't always agree on things, and I've been able to introduce him to people that disagree with him vehemently. But what I've found in my conversations with him, and to some extent theirs, is that he'll always listen, he'll always be kind, and he'll provide you with the reasons for his position. And he will do a rare thing. He will sometimes change his positions. I say rare because we just tend not to do that as humans. And in politics, that's generally and often not rewarded. Even as we say, we'd like people who would change their opinions. What we really mean are people that will agree with us. And he's a good guy in that sense. Again, I'm not endorsing, nor is it my place to endorse all of his political views and votes and the things that he supports as a Republican politician in the United States Congress. But I can endorse his heart. He's a good man who wants to do the right thing and will listen to people that disagree with him, attempts to gather facts, and attempts to make the right decisions along the way. So we've only got a short time with him today because he is a United States congressperson. And if you're listening to this in relative real time, the Congress is trying to elect a new House leader. That means 200 and some of them have to agree by an overwhelming majority that one person should be the House Speaker. And until that happens, they're kind of paralyzed. So he's busy doing those things that will allow them to do something again, I suppose. So we've got about 20-25 minutes with him. And I think you'll enjoy that a lot. In the meantime, let me share something interesting, something provocative, and something good with you. In terms of interesting, I want to turn you on to a movie or a series. Actually, if you haven't already, it's on Apple Plus. And this is not an endorsed sponsorship by any means, although Apple Plus, if you're listening, we will gladly take your money and endorse things. But this one I'm doing for free because I really liked it. It's called The Last Days of Ptolemy Gray. Ptolemy is Ptolemy, and Samuel L. Jackson plays this character, Ptolemy Gray, who is an elderly man with dementia. A lot of other great actors in it, people you'll recognize and some you don't. But just a nice, compact series that has an interesting plot about this man with dementia, and something happens, and he has an opportunity to regain his memory, but only for a short period of time, chooses with some guidance of another person to accept that opportunity, recognizing his mind's going to go back to the place it was before. And the arc of the story sort of takes you in a direction that allows him to solve some things. That's about all I'll say because I don't want to spoil it for you entirely. But let me tell you, Samuel L. Jackson, again, does not need my endorsement, but what a great actor. He acts at many ages and many stages of just intellectual abilities because of this drug working on him and so forth. And he just kills it. As do the other actors. I guess that's what I really liked about it. That's what struck me about it, was just that there's all these people that some of whom I've met someone like, and some I've never been exposed to, and they're just done in a very real, not, in my opinion, stereotypic way. They are all, or almost all, I think all Black characters living in the inner city. But you really get some insight into different characters. I think it's an opportunity to stretch your perspective of other people and the good and the bad in them, and the combination of those qualities. So that's interesting to me. You can watch it on Apple Plus. The Last Days of Ptolemy Gray. Um, I think something provocative to me as we have this conversation, and we're exposed to all these new things that artificial intelligence can do, is artificial intelligence going to replace us? Is it going to replace things I do? Is it going to replace being able to be a lawyer? Is it going to replace being able to write jokes or be a comedian? Is it going to be able to replace what you do? And here's where I come out on it, although, you know, we don't know. There are certainly things that artificial intelligence can do now that we did not imagine it would be doing, or we hoped maybe it wouldn't do. I don't know. I don't know where we are on that. But I think it's a lot like a couple of things. One, if you remember back when we were trying to figure out whether the best whether the best chess player or the best computer program was better at chess, what we ultimately learned, I think, was that the best was a combination of the two. The best computer program working with the best collaborating chess player would beat any chess player, any computer program, anytime. I think that's where we are. I think we need to learn to collaborate with technology, and not work as if we're threatened that it's going to be replacing us. In my spaces, in particular, I think if I'm good at anything, it's hopefully being authentic and instilling confidence in people. To a large extent, as a lawyer, that's what you do to earn clients. That's what you do to win cases. That's what you do in negotiating things. You have to be credible. You have to be smart enough, but there's plenty of smart enough lawyers. But you have to instill confidence in people so that they will trust you, so that they leave meetings with you, whether they're on the same side as you or the other side, knowing that you've understood things, and that there's going to be an advance, and that they can leave the meeting lighter than they entered it. That's something I'm able to bring in comedy. That's what good comedians do. Is they are, and there are exceptions to this rule, but they're likable, they're relatable, and you have confidence in what they're saying, even as it's not, literally true in every instance. It takes a kernel of truth or a true observation and turns it into something funny or silly. But there's a credibility in that. I don't think artificial intelligence can replace that in a genuine way. It can sniff around the edges only. But there's lots of things it can do better than me. And at least at this point in my life, I'm not threatened by those things. Maybe if I was starting off as a young lawyer or I might be a little more threatened. So it's not fair for me to say how other people should feel. What I can say is there's plenty of mundane or repetitive tasks that lawyers do that computers can do better. And whatever your job is, the same is probably true. I've had ChatGPT write a joke or two, not that I tell, except one that I've said, hey, I had ChatGPT write a joke for me. I said, write a joke in the voice of Mitch Hedberg about running marathons. And it came up with a pretty decent joke. And so occasionally I'll say I had ChatGPT write a joke, and here's the joke it wrote in the voice of Mitch Hedberg. And that is, how did it go? I was running a marathon, and I got to mile 25. Of course, a marathon is 26 miles and change. And when I got to mile 25, I thought, man, if I was a mile, I'd be done now. It's not a bad joke. It's not a bad joke at all. And if it was done literally in the voice of Mitch Hedberg, you would probably think it was really funny. So, can artificial intelligence writing things be an advance? I think it could be an advance. And if it could make writing jokes that I collaborate with it on easier, and then I ultimately have to perform them, I think that's a pretty good thing. So that's where I come out on it. Where do you come out on it? Let me know. You can reach me at Freed to Laugh. That's my Instagram, my Facebook, and my Twitter. Of course, the My First Rodeo podcast is where you can find these podcasts on YouTube and on Facebook. You can also find me at freedtolaugh.com. Here's something good. because I want to leave you with something good before we get to our guest today. This was neat. And I love the use of GoFundMe's in a positive way, where the money actually gets where it's supposed to go, where it's a practical, sensible amount of money, not just millions to make people feel better, even though sometimes you need billions to actually accomplish things. But there was a situation in at a Starbucks. So a woman who worked at a Starbucks and out of Columbus, Ohio, and her name was Casey. Well, Casey Gray was the young woman who put together this GoFundMe for another staffer, another barista, if you will, who was having all kinds of car troubles, and everyone at the store just loved her because she was so accommodating and so empathetic and just good at what she did. That they went out and they raised $40,000 for her, and I thought that was an amazing thing. There's example after example of that out there if we look for them and if we look at being part of them, because we all have that opportunity. I try to do my part through Freed to Run. You can go to www. I don't know why I keep saying www. But freedtorun.com and find out more about how you can help the elder, indigent, homeless or home insecurity community through Freed to Run. We'll be doing a 24-hour run November 17th and 18th, 2023. So I hope you'll do that. Now, this is me talking to Congressman Aaron Bean. How you doing, my friend? Look at you.
Hey, first of all, thanks, Mike Freed. You're funny and been a supporter and just you're really good. And it's crazy times in D.C. right now. You know, it's all focused on trying to get a speaker. That's
crazy, huh? Are you running yet? I know we're going to talk about your first rodeos, but 7 people up there now, right?
It's funny that you mentioned it because I want to announce to you and your listeners, I am running.
Get out of here.
Out of patience. Patience. So, no, I bet most people are.
I see you, and again, don't want to talk about current stuff because you talk about that all the time. I want to talk about more fun stuff, but
we're going to talk about fun stuff. But I do want to hit this. What people say, why is it so hard? Why is it so hard? It's just we have to, because of our numbers. To get things done in the House, it's 217. Sure. 217 is the number. That's the majority for anything. So elect a speaker, 217. If you want to pass anything, 217. So Republicans have 221 right now. So 217 out of 221 is 98%. Yeah. So you've got 221 people. You got to have 98% agreement, and you just know how hard it is to get any big group to agree to anything. Yeah.
Well, so that's where we are. So, I don't expect you to talk ill of colleagues, especially being a relative new guy there. But it does give an unusual amount of power to a few people if they want to obstruct things or keep things from getting done, or maybe try to achieve a particular result. I don't mean to pretend what their goal is, but it does put a lot of power in a small number of people's hands.
Spot on. Mike Freed, spot on. And think about this, Kevin McCarthy was vacated 96% of the conference. So 96% of all House Republicans says, you're doing a great job, please stay. But 96% not good enough. You got to get to 98. So 8 people, you talk about a small group having immense power. 8 people are the ones that said, we want to go in a different direction. They teamed up with the Democrats and here we are. Yeah. I think in the future, we're going to say you can't vacate until we elect somebody else. And that may be, that would have solved this problem of being rudderless.
You do have the one guy who's, I guess, the interim, but he just gets to bang the big gavel. Is that his job now?
That's exactly right. And he is a strict constitutionalist. So he says, hey, my job is just to get us through till the next speaker. Yeah. But nevertheless, what brings us together, Mike Freed? Humor.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, indeed. And I want to get to that. I will say my 2 observations about that gentleman are: 1, he bangs the gavel really hard, and 2, he looks a little bit like Orville Redenbacher.
Yeah. See, that's funny. That is funny. He would appreciate that.
Okay.
He only for your listeners, he only wears bow ties. Yeah. And he has those big, wide librarian style glasses.
Yeah.
And so Orville Redenbacher, he would like that. He does have a sense of humor. He loves to laugh. And behind the scenes when he talks, it's always an opening line for a joke. That's, to me, it's a very powerful disarming tool to use humor. I love it. And you do it effectively, Mike Freed. And
you're too kind. It's humanizing. And I think that's neat. And what I know we only have a little bit of your time today, but I love when people get behind the scenes, forget about what someone's politics are, which is, what you deal with all day and what people deal with, and realize that you and your colleagues are for the most part, human beings. And most people do have a good sense of humor. And I think that is a great equalizer. I think as people get to know you, they whatever their politics are, they always fall in love with you. So I want to talk about some of your firsts, because we go back a long way, and so far where I didn't have to negotiate to get 20 minutes of your time, but it's crazy what you're up to now. But let's go back just a little bit, because the show's called My First Rodeo. We talk about firsts on paths to success. I was with you at least on one of your firsts when you were student body president of our university. Don't know if that was your first elected position or not. Was it?
I think it was Mike Freed. First of all, Mike Freed, how far back was that? So far back, you had a full head of hair.
I did. And you had only one head of hair. You didn't have it all over your face.
Exactly. And I didn't have facial hair. It's funny. I've got the beard now, and my staff up here has only known me for 10 months. So I put a picture of my wife and I don't have facial hair, and they flipped out totally. Yeah. Who is this guy? I said, that's me. No. So at JU back in the 80s, back when REM came and played at our gymnasium, back when Modern English came and played for us, Cheap Trick.
George Carlin.
That was
George Carlin.
Yeah, exactly. Bruce, George Carlin. It's just so many George Carlin. So many popular acts that came to Jacksonville because of it. You were a big shot, Fiji, and
yeah. None of that. Was that some of your political promises that you will bring better groups to campus? Is that what got you elected?
It was actually being out on the street. I remember the week of voting, just stood on the street, passed out cards. We did donuts. We did anything to stand out a little bit. But I think it's just being accessible, which is still true to this day. If you're going to get elected in politics, you've got to stand before the masses and be accountable, be a listener.
Yeah. Well, you don't have to. A lot of people don't, but you do. I even heard a public service announcement of yours yesterday. Be happy to know. Talk about veterans benefits and simply telling people if they have questions about veterans benefits to call your office. I thought that was pretty accessible.
Well, no, you're kind. And it's funny because I tried to put that PSA, we rewrote it. I've got a great young lady who is a comms person, and we always try to put a little hook. And so for one of the PSAs we did was the federal government does many things right, but passports is not one of them. Mm-hmm. Issuing passports is not one of them. So call our office if you need help.
Oh, good. Mine's about to expire. I will be giving you a call for sure.
Yeah, please do. We get so many calls, but he's just trying to say the ordinary in a funny way, I think. And again, it's using that humor that you use so well.
Well, let's talk about that a little bit. And I know we only have about 15 minutes, so I want to go through some of your early political offices quickly and then talk about your first rodeo in Congress, because that's present, but also very exciting and a neat behind the scenes look for most of us. But what I've always admired about you, and I don't know how to say this in a way that doesn't sound like a backhanded compliment, but you are silly. You send around, at least when you were in the state house and the state senate, pictures of yourself on candy bars with a muscle man and all kinds of things, and I think brilliant, memorable, a good way to just have something relatable with people. But if people underestimate you and think that you're just silly, I think they do that at their own risk. And so how do you balance those two things? And do you ever feel like you're, I don't know, in a way lowering people's expectations of you by being silly, by doing the things that you do that are memorable, but also not typical things that a congressman does?
Well, that's funny. And you're talking, we would give away candy bars, and literally I would make up wrappers, candy bar wrappers. We would just take a big giant Hershey bar, wrap it with the Aaron Bean wrapper, and we would try to find what's a topical, relatable, something that would make people smile and laugh. And usually it was a Photoshop picture of me as a warrior or a muscle man. And really it was branding. To me, it was just trying to build goodwill with other members. Since the gift ban, and you would think people in the legislature gets lots of gifts, and we really don't. And so, but a member can give another member a gift. So to get
and for our younger listeners, you're saying gift, GIFT, not GIF.
Yeah, that's exactly right. But then we expanded it. Then we expanded candy bars, and we gave staffers, custodians, anybody. We ended up giving thousands away just because people, I don't know. I like making people's day. I like putting a smile on their face, and what the heck, let's just print some more wrappers. And it became very popular. So one of the first things I did with my team up here, who doesn't know me as a state senator, I said, "Hey, let's do these candy bars." That sounds like a lot of work, but I'm winning them over, and hopefully later this year or early next year, we'll have our first congressional bar.
There you go.
And so, but I don't know. But you know what? It helps. I think it helps at least having a relationship. So when my bill came up, or an amendment came up, if there's a staffer making a decision, only put one. Well, let's go with Bean. I don't know. Right.
I like start with isn't he the guy that gave me the candy bar, or isn't he the guy that
candy bar, the silly guy, the muscle guy, or whatever. So,
but they don't stop there. Time. No, I think it's a great approach. So again, just to give your lineage, I know you ran for student body president and won. You also from Nassau County, Florida, up there, Amelia Island, people, Fernandina Beach. If you're not from this area, wonderful community, and you're from there. Your mom had a dance studio there. You ran for, would it be the commission or the council up there?
Yeah, I ran for the council, and then Mike Freed. This is kind of a fun little story. Mm-hmm. This has been 30 years ago, but I was the youngest mayor in city history, and some historians said that went back through all the records and found you're the youngest mayor in history. So that was just a fun title.
But I lost
that title. Mike Freed, I held that title, and I lost it just last November. So 11 months, what is it? 10 months ago, lost it to some whippersnapper.
Similar name, right?
Taunted me. Are you ready for this? Yeah. Mike Freed, this whippersnapper who beat my record by 2 years, has taunted me now. I've done some gigs with him.
Yeah.
And he just said, "Hey, for the record, ladies and gentlemen, I am now the youngest mayor." And Mike Freed, we couldn't be more proud of him. He's our son, Abby and I's son. It's Bradley, Mayor Bean.
That is amazing. So when you're saying youngest, do you mean youngest in that city or youngest in any city in the United States?
No, youngest in that city. I'm sure there's others, but in Fernandina history. But to have our kid as mayor, he's kind of, in fact, on social media, I think you could argue he's probably more popular than we are.
Well, he's riding your coattails.
He does a bit minute with the mayor every week, and he has an egg timer in his hand, right? Yeah. So and he sets it in front of you. So he sets it for 60 seconds, and he talks really fast, and he says, "Let me tell you what's going on in Fernandina Beach, in our city." And it's extremely effective and fun because eventually that egg timer is going to go off any second, and he gets it all in, and it's very exciting.
Well, he is such your son and has your sense of humor, but also your sense of purpose and service, and I know your wife as well, Abby, not just your wife, but your former cheerleading partner from Jacksonville University. She seems to be, unless I'm mistaking it, a more serious person in some ways. And I wonder, how does she handle first sort of being your wing person and wondering what you're going to say and so forth, and now having to go through it with her son?
Yeah, no, she's very good. She's smart. She does have a great sense of humor, and it's been our deal all along at every level, whether it was city council or in the legislature or even the Congress, saying it's a partnership and we do it together, and everything we've done together. The Congress thing is has been fun because she's been more a part of it than ever because our kids are grown. Our kids are out of the house. We're empty nesters, or as some will say, we're re-honeymooning again without kids at home. But she's been able to spend lots of time up here.
That's great.
In DC, works in our office, gives tours herself, and answers the phone. I mean, she does whatever. She's been helping me schedule stuff. There's so many things that people call our office, and she knows me so well. He'll do that. He can't do this or that. So she's been great. But she does have a very fun sense of humor too.
That's good.
So it's been fun.
So you go on to be in the House of Representatives. You go on to be a Florida state senator, and then you run for Congress, and here you are.
That's exactly right. Never really dreamed. I did dream of running for Congress, but I always thought, the seat I was in was Rutherford's seat. The 5th congressional district was where it was. And I figured, one day I'll do it, but not now. But maybe the next time it's open or something. And then Mike Freed, something happened a year and a half ago. A brand new map was approved by the legislature. Governor DeSantis approved a new map. And then there's a new open seat. And Abby, I went to Abby and said, what do you think? And I think we could win. We'd have to bust our tail. And she was in. We put together a team. In fact, it was the old team that helped me beat the odds of winning the state Senate, which at the time we were very much an underdog. And everybody thinks, oh, you've always had it made, Bean. You always had it made. But I can go back in history. Almost every race that I've been in, we're the underdog. We were never expected to win, but the team and we've got an ethic that says we're going to outwork everybody, no matter what it takes. We're going to outwork everybody. And that's been one of the keys to our success. So we jumped in this race. And at the time, one of the things that made it very attractive was the short span of election. Sometimes people run for Congress for 5 years. They run for a long time to build up. And this was going to be a 90-day race. The seat came out, and in 90 days, we were going to have a primary. And so I remember telling Abby, well, the good news is whether we're in or out, we'll know in 90 days. So we can go start a new chapter in our life. I had already had some contracts. I was going to be I was going to try to be a motivational speaker. That's one thing I've really always tried to do, a motivational speaker or a convention speaker. And I still might. Don't get me wrong. I still might do that. If the Congress thing doesn't work out or whatever happens, you may see me
maybe you could do it in Congress. I think they could use some motivational speakers there.
Well, the funny thing is I kind of do it now. I mean, I give so many gigs where I'm speaking all the time, and it's been a great avenue to go forward. But I've had a great time. I'm here 10 months now. I got sworn in January, and we can talk about so many things, Mike. You talked about my first rodeo, all the things I'm learning, and I'm learning how partisan it is. In the legislature, we disagreed with the opposite party. I'm a Republican, as you know, no disrespect to anybody, but in the state legislature, it seemed like there was respect without the hatred. And on a national level, man, do we fight like cats and dogs up in DC. And
nobody gives an inch, do they?
I know the public wants more, but it seems like our border's out of control. I don't mean to talk politics, but it's deficit spending. We got $33 trillion in debt. So, and both parties are to blame for the debt. It's not just one, but there's a lot of work to do, and I'm committed to doing whatever it takes. And being in Congress too, Mike, is just a different lifestyle. It's sexy. There's some great things about it, but most Mondays we're at Jacksonville International Airport about to catch our ride, and then if we're lucky, sometimes we come on Thursday. Sometimes it's Friday, and this past weekend we stayed the weekend to work through as we try to find a speaker.
Yeah.
So, but listen, committed to it. I don't get me wrong. I'm having the time of my life. I love it. It's work, and I just soon work than people say, "What do you do for fun?" I said, "Well, I work," and
No, you're great at
And
it, and you make it fun. I mean, you make it fun for the people that are around you, at least more fun than it would be. I know you got to run in a minute, but I mean, how much of it, from a first rodeo perspective, is surprisingly about, even in your first 10 months there, about what you got to do or what the party needs you to do in connection with helping other people with elections and running for re-election yourself? Is it like that from day one?
Day one, and I'm probably not supposed to talk about this, but it happens with both parties.
Sure.
I mean, the amount of money you have to raise is pretty significant. It's much harder as a freshman. The committees I'm on, I'm not, they don't put you as a freshman on the big committees right away. So, but I do go off campus, at least once a week, probably twice a week, and I'll go to a little call center where I have to make fundraising calls.
Yeah.
Mr. Freed, it's Aaron Bean. I haven't talked to you in a while, but Mr. Freed, I want to invite you back to come. We're making such great progress.
Right.
What can I do to get you back on board, Mr. Freed? So, what I'm pitching, though, I should start running 6 marathons in a row. I think that's the key to raising big bucks. At least that's what
it seems to work for Freed to run. And thank you for your continuous support of it.
Mike Freed, it is amazing. If people don't know what you do, running one marathon, I've run 8 in my lifetime. Running one is a big deal, but for you to run 6 continuously over 6 days and is truly a great feat. And you're just doing it for charity. I'm most impressed that you can do that. I'm jealous that I can't. My body is falling apart. I'm a walker now. I'm not a runner, but I'm still impressed. Tell us, Mike, tell us about the big changes you're making to Freed to Run this year.
Look at you paying attention to details, even as you're a congressman. Yeah, so this year it's actually not going to be 6 marathons in 6 days. It's going to be a 24-hour run around the Duval County Courthouse, November 17th to the 18th. Me, plus we already have like 14 teams that have signed up. A lot of great corporate support. Dolores Bar Weaver Legacy Fund is doing a matching fund. So, and now instead of supporting pediatric patients, where we fully funded that endowment, we're going to fund an endowment to help indigent seniors, and particularly with home insecurity. So thank you for you guys continuing to support that every year. And thanks for the question.
Truly, Mike Freed. Mike Freed, where do we go to learn more?
Look at you, man. You've just flipped the show. Freedtorun.com. But let me let you leave on this, because I know you probably have 2 people outside the frame that are telling you need to go to your next meeting. You have always impressed me, and certainly have been this for me as somebody. We don't agree on everything politically, and I've been around people that vehemently disagree with you. And when they've wanted audience with you to express their opinions, you've always given them that audience. I feel like in some instances I'm aware of, you've come away more knowledgeable and maybe even changed your view in this day and age where things are so intractable politically. How do you do that, and how do you continue to do that while you're in Washington?
No, and Mike, it's so important. If I don't listen, you're going to kick me out, or my constituents will kick me out. But here's a little secret to me, but I'm sure any elected official. Try being nice, and you are, because if somebody's nice, if we disagree and you're nice, then convince me I'm wrong. Where did I miss? And I'll throw facts that I know from behind the scenes you may not know, and we can have a debate. And most instances is I can explain my vote. In fact, almost all. I have a specific reason why we voted and the facts behind the scenes. But if you're nice, I'll hear you out. But boy, I'll listen to my voicemail overnight where, listen, I do a town hall. I do a telephone town hall. I have to give this disclaimer. I have to say on the town hall, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to turn it loose. Open mic. You can press star or whatever and signal that you're going to talk. I'll turn you loose. I've not pre-screened questions. Please tell me what a bonehead I am, but please don't use profanity, right. No F-bombs. Now I have to give that disclaimer, because you know what's happened already. Yeah. I mean, people just go off the rails.
Don't threaten to murder me. That would be a deal breaker. I'd have to send someone to your house.
Yeah, convince me I'm wrong and do it in a nice. I
love it. I love it. Listen, man, I know you're exhausted. If you have a free minute, I hope you'll be kind to yourself. Go give your wife a hug. You've always been a good friend and a good leader, and I know you're doing that in DC. So thanks, brother.
Mike Freed, I'm just your listeners. You do so much. I'm so proud of you. And listen, anybody that does stand up, for you to do it, and I've been to your live show, it is hilarious. And but to me, that's courage. That is true courage to stand up. You know what? I give a little talk. If my joke doesn't hit, I can move on to the direct point. But you have to keep firing them until something does. Proud of you and looking forward to seeing you live again. And hopefully I can buy you an adult beverage and we can celebrate all the good things that Free to Run is accomplishing. So go get them, my friend. Appreciate
Thanks,
you.
brother. Appreciate you too. Bye. Well, I hope you enjoyed Congressman Aaron Bean. Aaron Bean to me, Aaron, I guess Congressman. Everybody's calling him Congressman now. Doesn't even have a first name when you call his office. They say the Congressman this, the Congressman that. I hope you got a sense of him. Would have loved to talk to him more about his various firsts in all the elected offices that he held and the campaigns that he's involved in, and some of the issues that he's dealt with in a sensible way, and some in ways that I'm sure some of you would not find sensible. Some I don't find at least resonate with my views. But I hope you got a sense that he's somebody who will listen, he will be kind, and he'll give you the opportunity to persuade him. He is part of a particular political party, a particular political flavor nowadays, and certainly there's no secret that is a divisive thing, and there's only so far people on one side will go to collaborate or cross the aisle. But I know that Aaron is somebody who is kind even to people he disagrees with, and I think that's something that's lacking in society, lacking in the workplace. Certainly lacking in politics. So I don't know where his political career will take him. He's, I think, won every race he's ever run, and he's continued to move into bigger offices. I don't think he makes very vocal plans about what he wants to be, but gosh, this is true. People that make it to Congress often run for higher offices and succeed. That's where a lot of those people come from. Would I be surprised if he were one of them at some point, or if people didn't want to put him in that position? I would not at all. I also wouldn't be surprised if he just does something fun. He's an auctioneer, a professional, licensed, registered auctioneer. He talks about being a motivational speaker. Mainly, he likes to solve problems and he likes to interact with people. He certainly is an extrovert in that sense, that he gets energy from that. So I think wherever he thinks he's in the right place and bringing value is what he's going to continue to do. And who knows, that may be elected office for a little while longer. He's a relative young guy for being a congressman, just like he was the youngest mayor in Fernandina Beach history. So I hope you enjoyed Aaron Bean. I do hope you'll support Free to Run, freedtorun.com, November 17th and 18th. We have our big run coming up to raise money for indigent senior citizens. We raised $2.25 million for pediatric patients. Now we're moving to the other end of the age spectrum, doing a 24-hour run. So come run with us, come support our teams. And as to my first rodeo podcast, listen, thanks. You're doing that now. Great job. Subscribe and share it. Thanks again for listening to the My First Rodeo podcast.
Bye.